Hey everyone, today we'll be going over the Blind 75 in TypeScript, and today we'll be focusing on product of array except self, and without any further hesitation, let's get started. Hey everyone, today we'll be going over the Blind 75, and today we are working on product of array except self. Now, before we get started, and we're all doing this in TypeScript, make sure we have written out all of our 4 questions indicating what the input is going to be, what data structure / algorithm to use, what to do with the data, and finally what our output's going to be. So, to kick things off, given an array of nums, return an array answer such that answer I indicating index, is equal to the product of all elements of nums except for nums of I. The product of any prefix or suffix of nums is guaranteed to fit in a 32-bit integer. You must write an algorithm that runs in on time and without using the division operation. So, what we already know in particular, based on our question, is that the input is going to be nums, which is basically indicated as a number over here. We can even use the parameters at the same time inside of a given function to say, hey, this is what we're expected to get. There's an array of integers. And the technique we're going to be doing right now, and in fact, I'm just going to be doing this over here just for context and such. What we are going to be doing is that we already know in particular what we were given, and now we have to understand exactly how we're going to actually manipulate all of our given products to return a final array. So our output's going to be return the array, return an array, the result containing product of all elements except nums of I indicating index. So it means the specific point in an array where all the numbers already add up. So if we were looking at an example, we have nums array right over here, and we are just simply getting the product of all the numbers that we would have except for the product itself over here for a final output. So if we were to combine 2, 3, and 4 all together, just multiplying them all together, we finally have 24. And then if we do the same thing over here, 1, 3, 4, we're going to get 12 because we are getting the product, which means we're just going to be multiplying all of the following numbers specifically inside of a given array, except for the index itself. So what we need to do is that we will be doing forward and backward passes. And we also need to specify no division. And the way we will be doing this is that specifying over here. In fact, I'll just separate this clearly to help you guys out, make it more legible. So this means we're going to create a result array initialized start. Then we are going to have 2 loops. They're not going to be nested though. The first loop will populate the result with the product of each inside. And then the second one will multiply so this will be our backward pass, this will be our forward pass. Let's clean this up to be able to help. There we go. There we go. That looks better. Okay. So, to be able to get things off, we're going to first initialize constant n is going to be nums.length, indicating the size of a given array that we have, and then we're going to have a result array indicated as constant new array n fill, and we're going to first initialize with a given amount right over here for 1. Sorry, excuse me. And so let prefix equal 1, and this is going to be our forward pass. So left to right, we use terms such as prefix and suffix. So for let of I equals 0, I is less than n, which will be indicated in numbers on length, I plus plus. This is how we scan arrays in general. And we will populate our result array for every single index that we have for prefix, indicating like, and the reason why we have 1 here is because we want all of the following numbers except for the given index that we're at right up here as specified before. Because when we multiply all the numbers all together, we have our following result in each respective index. So this is why in particular that we start in particular indicating 1, because arrays typically start with 0. But then we use it as a placeholder in general. So prefix here, nums of I start with, yep. Then we're going to have the let suffix 1 for let of I equal n minus 1. This is how we know in particular going to the other side of the array by doing n minus 1, which is basically the size of a given array minus the other index in this position, so we know exactly like, hey, this is like the end result that we have up here. And then we have I is greater than or equal to 0, indicating like, hey, this is not at the very end. And then we're going to be going from right to left in that case. So this is why we have the other for loop. And then we have result of I multiply with the suffix already set in place, and then suffix multiplied with nums of I. So once we populate the result array, we're then going to multiply result array, and finally we're going to be returning result array, return result. So going to be running this to make sure that it has all the test cases. Right, passes them respectively. Now let's submit. And we are good. So overall, our solution runs in ON time complexity, given the fact that 1, we're just scanning throughout a given, n represents the size of a given array that we already have, or is already specified based on the given restraints that we have for our following program, and simultaneously, let me just see if I can just zoom out for a second. There we go. And the space complexity on the other hand is going to be O of 1, which would indicate the O of 1 represents the extra space, which will be the output of an array, which ultimately will be just a given result, because we are already specifying like, hey, since we're not already storing everything, we just look up directly like this is the result that we have as a result from scanning and already multiplying our given arrays. And so yes, this was part of array accept self in TypeScript. Thank you very much for taking time to watch this. If you found this video helpful, be sure to feel free to please like and subscribe. And if you have any other questions as well, please put them in the comment section. And as always, take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.